Welcome to this edition of CBN News Weekend. I'm Charlene Aaron. The GOP frontrunner has a controversial immigration plan that's dividing his party. Critics say it will alienate the Latino vote. Heather Sells is on this story.
Donald Trump is leading the GOP presidential pack right now with 24% in the latest polls. And he's dividing the party with a call to rewrite the Constitution to crack down on millions of immigrants living here illegally. What's perhaps creating the most buzz, his proposal to end birthright citizenship. It's guaranteed right now to anyone born in the U.S., no matter the legal status of their parents. Some GOP candidates have been quick to denounce Trump's plan, like Marco Rubio, Jeb Bush, and John Kasich.
So you don't believe that we should repeal birthright citizenship?
No. Well, I mean, first of all, you just can't do that. I think it even takes a constitutional amendment.
Trump's hardline stance on immigration has touched off a fierce debate within the GOP. It appeals to some of the party's core voters while also worrying many leaders who know they need to recapture the Latino vote.
You have to engage with the Latino electorate, and if you don't, you do so at your peril.
Hispanics now make up 11% of all eligible voters nationwide, but the GOP has so far failed to earn their support. In 2012, Mitt Romney won just 27% of the Latino vote. Also making news on the campaign trail right now, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker, whose numbers in Iowa are tanking. On Tuesday, he unveiled his health care proposal to replace Obamacare, what he calls the Day One Patient Freedom Plan.
On my very first day as President of the United States, I will send legislation to the Congress to once and for all repeal Obamacare entirely.
And Hillary Clinton faced tough questioning about her private email account while Secretary of State.
My personal emails are my personal business, right?
And she tried to make a joke when asked if she tried to wipe her private server to hide the mishandling of classified information.
What, like with a cloth or something? We have turned over the server. They can do whatever they want to with the server to figure out what's there or what's not there. That's for the people investigating it to try to figure out. But we turned over everything that was work-related, every single thing.
Some liberal activists are also unhappy with Clinton right now after she told a private group from Black Lives Matter that they should promote policy changes rather than focusing on changing hearts. Heather Sells, CBN News.
And joining us now is our bilingual producer, Mayra Alejandra, who's following the immigration issue and Hispanic vote. Now, Mayra, Hispanics now make up 11% of all eligible voters nationwide. And like Heather said in her story, the GOP has really not done a lot to win their support. Do you think that could change?
Charlene, I don't know. I would like to think yes. I would like to think that there's that possibility, that there is a chance that some sort of hope. But the things that with Trump right now, if there was any hope, let's say with someone like Marco Rubio, even a name like Ted Cruz, because he has a Hispanic name, although he's not really pro-immigration, with Trump, it's really hard to focus on who would be the potential candidate that would say, hey, Hispanics, vote for us, because Trump is really getting all the media attention, and it's a huge distraction. So is there hope? I think anything is possible, but at least not until the Trump show dies down a little bit.
Yeah. What are some factors to consider here?
I think that, first of all, is the fact that Trump, with his whole immigration plan and deporting 11 million immigrants, I think that right now is a show, and this is the way I see it. I went, as an immigrant myself, as a U.S. citizen, as someone who loves this country and who has the power to vote, because now we're not just looking at the option, is that if Republicans realize that they're about to miss out on like a huge demographic, a huge amount of votes. When we're saying, we keep hearing 11 million illegal immigrants, undocumented immigrants, whatever word people choose. They're forgetting the other like 20-something million that have the power to vote. They're forgetting the millennials. They're forgetting the businessmen. And one thing that the GOP, I think, could consider is how they're reaching out to people. If you look at the Democrats, if you look at Trump, they show up on celebrity shows. They show up on talk shows. They are reaching out to they're trying to be in touch. And I feel that the GOP tries to be so formal and so serious that they're afraid to step out of the news shows and just kind of mingle with Hispanics in their own salsa. as we say.
Indeed, indeed. Well, another factor to consider is, a lot of Hispanics are Catholic, and with the Pope visiting Washington this September, how do you think this will affect the presidency, the candidacy for president?
I don't know if the GOP in general or if any, I think the Democrats have definitely picked up on it. I don't know if the GOP has realized that the Pope has aligned with a lot of the, let's say, with a lot of the policies of the Obama administration. And the Pope will be meeting with immigrants in Philadelphia, with immigrants in New York. The Pope will be meeting with a lot of Hispanics. And this is a chance where, like, if people perceive him as someone aligned with either the Democratic base or with that side, then it's really going to affect the GOP. So I feel like the GOP has only a few months to get it together.
Okay. Myra, thank you so much for being with us today. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Well, details about Planned Parenthood's harvesting the body parts of babies just keeps coming. The Center for Medical Progress has just released a new video clip, and we want to warn you, it's not easy to watch. It shows a former procurement technician discussing harvesting an intact brain from a late-term male baby. Technician Holly O'Donnell worked in San Jose at Planned Parenthood partner clinic STEM Express. She said her supervisor called her into the lab to see something cool. The aborted baby's heart was still beating.
The moment I see it, I'm just flabbergasted. This is the most gestated fetus and closest thing to a baby I've seen. And she's like, okay, I want to show you something. So she has one of her instruments and she just taps the heart and it starts beating. And I'm sitting here and I'm looking at this fetus and its heart is beating. And I don't know what to think.
And later in the CMP video, O'Donnell tells how they harvested the baby's brain.
She said, okay, well, this is a really good fetus and it looks like we can procure a lot from it. We're gonna procure a brain. So, the moment I hear something like, that means we're gonna have to cut the head open. We're gonna have to cut the head open. So, it's like, okay, so what you do is you go through the face. I'm thinking, no, I don't want to do this. And she takes the scissors and she makes a small incision right here and goes, I would say, to maybe a little bit through the mouth. And she's like, okay, can you go the rest of the way? And I'm like, yes.
O'Donnell says she was then given the scissors and was told she had to cut down the middle of the face to extract the baby's brain. That full interview is on our website at cbnnews.com. Well, the mainstream network media ignored the latest video on Planned Parenthood's practice of removing the body parts of aborted babies. And as you saw, it is a very disturbing video. Yet mainstream media has not shown any of the footage and has only spent a few minutes as a whole covering the videos. Meanwhile, Planned Parenthood gave 16 news agencies their Maggie Award for Media Excellence. We spoke with Brent Bozell, president of Media Research Center, about what this says about our media today.
It's one of those horrific stories that you just say it can't get worse than it is. But every day you learn something that's even worse. And the most recent one being these awards. These are the Maggie Awards for media excellence, Maggie being Margaret Sanger. Margaret Sanger being the founder of Planned Parenthood, a woman who was in favor of eugenics, a woman who was in favor of eradicating the black race, a woman who spoke at KKK rallies, a woman who made no bones about her racism. In her honor, they are giving awards. Planned Parenthood is giving awards to people in journalism, from everything from Elle Magazine to MSNBC to Esquire. They're all getting awards in her honor. You know, one of the things that is striking is that her goal was to eradicate the black race. When you see that 25% of the black population has been erased since 1973, when you see that close to 80% of all abortion clinics are in the inner cities to go after black and Latino women, her goals are being realized, and journalists are accepting awards for that.
And Bozell says it is a double standard for the mainstream media journalists to accept an award from the abortion giant, and that mainstream media wants to pretend like this never happened. You won't want to miss the rest of that interview. You can watch it on cbnnews.com. Well, Danny Lotz, the husband of Anne Graham Lotz, has passed away. He's being remembered by his wife as God's gladiator. On her website, Anne writes in part, he lost sight in one eye and hearing in one ear. His heart disease required 5 stents in his arteries. His renal failure dictated 3 days of dialysis each week, 5 hours each time, and yet he never complained. On Monday, Danny was found unresponsive in the swimming pool of his North Carolina home. He was sent to ICU and he died on Tuesday. Danny is the son-in-law of evangelist Billy Graham, and he and Anne were married for nearly 50 years and have 3 children together. He was 78 years old. Coming up, meet one of the pioneers in the effort to unite Christians and Jews and find out what motivated him to help Jews from around the world return to Israel. Christians and Jews have had a rocky 2,000-year history, but in recent years, that's changed as evangelical Christians and religious Jews have reached out to one another and found common ground. One of the pioneers in that effort is Rabbi Yechiel Eckstein. Take a look.
When Rabbi Yechiel Eckstein founded the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews in 1983, his goal was simple: to build bridges of understanding between Christians and Jews, and to show Christians how to reestablish their biblical connection to the land of Israel and the Jewish people. Over the next 30-plus years, IFCJ has far exceeded expectations. Not only is the organization a leader in Jewish-Christian relations, it has also helped thousands of Jews around the world escape poverty and anti-Semitism to return to their biblical homeland, Israel. And IFCJ has funded humanitarian assistance that has touched the lives of millions of Jews worldwide. The story of Eckstein's life's work is told in a new biography, The Bridge Builder, the life and continuing legacy of Rabbi Yechiel Eckstein.
CBN News recently spoke with Rabbi Eckstein and about that book, what motivated him to help Jews from around the world return to Israel.
I believe God was in it and guiding me and shaping history. It was really a calling that I felt. Some 38 years ago, I was the head of the Anti-Defamation League's Christian-Jewish Relations Department, and I started some of the first evangelical Jewish dialogues. And I saw something there that I felt was worthy of carrying through in a deeper way. And so I began 33 years ago the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews with the goals of, one, deepening Christians' spiritual roots in the Jewish roots and with their ties with Israel, and rallying support for Israel and other shared biblical concerns, including that of persecuted Christians. Essentially, it was to build a bridge between the Jewish community and the burgeoning evangelical community in America and around the world.
And you can see more about Rabbi Eckstein and his book on cbnnews.com. Up next, new technology that helps couples communicate better. See how a relationship revolution is strengthening marriages right after this. More than 90% of people get married by the time they're 50, but America's high divorce rate is proof that many couples just don't know how to make their relationships work. Now, one Dallas couple has come up with an effective system to save marriages. Caitlin Burke has the story.
Talking. It's something we do throughout the day. We chat about the weather, movies, our kids, breezing from one subject to another. Yet when it comes to talking about relationships, we often hit the brakes, or worse.
There is a myth in our culture And the myth is that if you're struggling in your relationship, maybe you're married to the wrong person. That if you're fighting, well, maybe you should get a divorce.
Doctors Harville Hendricks and Helen Hunt say it's time to change that.
Through conversation alone, a safe conversation, a new kind of talking, we could change the whole fabric of human beings all over the world.
For years, this couple worked to help others just like themselves build stronger relationships. But then they looked at society as a whole and realized relationships were still falling apart. Only 14% of couples actually go to therapy. That led them to take their relational technology, information, and science from clinic to community. Back in 2012, they began an experiment to improve the wellness of Dallas by first concentrating on the wellness of the family.
When the couple falls apart, then their kids fall apart. And if the kids don't thrive at home, they can't thrive at school. And if they don't do well at school, then they don't do well when they graduate, and they don't do well at work. And when they don't work well at work, it becomes a drain on the culture.
The technology, called Safe Conversations, teaches a couple to both talk and listen.
Talking is the most dangerous thing people do, and everybody talks. Very few people know how to talk so that they don't produce some kind of rupture or conflict.
During free workshops, Hendricks and Hunt teach couples to connect and feel safe with each other through healthy communication.
Is now a good time for me to share with you an appreciation?
Yeah, it's a good time.
So now make eye contact and hold eye contact for about 3 deep breaths.
People are longing to be in a relationship, but they didn't know how. We now have the technology to teach couples to be in relationship.
It's becoming a relationship revolution. The goal, to change the entire culture of society, one marriage at a time.
So we could change up to 30% of the families in America. We would change the whole culture, and in that sense, change Western civilization.
Hendricks and Hunt tested this relationship technology on their own marriage out of necessity and desperation.
We actually went to therapy about 15 years ago, and the therapist called us the couple from hell. We were horrible. And then we decided, well, maybe we should apply the system to our relationship.
But what we discovered was you can't just decide to do it. You have to practice it every day. It has to be a new way to talk.
You spend a lot of your time trying to be validated, and that need never being met. You never got their time.
I never got their time, kept striving for it by working harder and longer. Didn't happen.
The Dallas experiment is working, and Hendricks and Hunt plan to take their workshops into other communities. As a bonus, they tell us the couples they've helped are spreading the word as well.
These couples are becoming, in fact, the little army in the front line of a relational revolution, and we're going to support them.
Caitlin Burke, CBN News, Dallas, Texas.
And Caitlin joins us now for more. Thanks for joining us. First of all, what a great story and a needed story. How are the lessons that the Hunts are teaching during this conference actually, compare with what we're learning already in our culture?
They totally contrast what we learned from our culture. Our culture teaches us to be independent, to compete, to win, but that's not helpful in a relationship. In a relationship, it's all about working together. It's about communicating. It's about listening. And it's crazy how many people just don't know how to do that.
That's amazing. Now, why are they choosing to have couples come to the conferences instead of having them come to their clinic?
Right, so they used to work in the clinic, but they realized at one point that they were reaching such a small percentage of the population and that a majority of people can't afford to go to marriage therapy. So they decided to take, as they said in this story, take this out of the clinic and into the community. And so it's not necessarily trying to reach a poor demographic, but just reach everyone.
Wow, and what kind of demographics actually showing up at these conferences?
It really is such a great mix. There are people from lower income areas, but then there's also middle and upper class coming because it's really just people that want to learn how to be in a healthy relationship.
Absolutely needed. And so what was the environment like? When you saw all those couples talking, some crying, what was it like?
it was really encouraging. How many people want this, that don't want to give up on their marriages? And one of the cool things that I didn't mention in this story, there were actually, these couples brought their kids. And so their kids are in a separate workshop learning these same techniques. So their parents are learning how to have healthy conversation, and the kids are as well.
Awesome. Any other stories stand out?
Really just that it's a family thing. This one guy was saying that he wasn't raised in a family that spoke kindly to each other, so he didn't have that example for his own marriage. So again, it's so great that these kids are learning this, but also even if the kids aren't there, the parents are learning and the kids will see that.
And it's going to help the entire family. Great story again. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
And stay with CBN News Weekend. We'll be right back.
So, where can you go to find encouragement? Be a part of a prayer community, grow in your faith, watch inspiring videos, and win prizes for free. The MyCBN app, a great place to belong. Download the app at cbn.com/mobile. Grow, connect, have fun. The MyCBN app.
CBN's Operation Blessing is bringing help and hope to a community in Kenya. Over the past few years, Operation Blessing has helped provide education and access to safe water in the Maasai village of Kimana. Imboto, a single mom, worked very hard but still struggled to provide for her kids. Her handmade home was in poor shape and desperately needed repair, and Operation Blessing teams built a safe, sturdy home for Imboto and her children, and they're helping her raise chickens and goats as a source of income and nutritious food. And you can find out more about Operation Blessing by going to their website at ob.org. Well, that's all for this hour of the CBN News Weekend. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues that you care most about at cbnnews.com and stay up to date with CBN News through Facebook and Twitter. We hope you'll join us next time. Have a very wonderful weekend. God bless.